In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make these beautiful candle cozy, candle mat, candle holder, if you will, little lotus style candle mats. The three-dimensionality of the petals adds a really nice, wonderful look and texture. Also, what I've done is I've made this, at least for this part of the video, so that you can see kind of different colors of thread and the use of some stain in order to give these a unique, more personalized touch. Let me give a warm welcome to all my weaving Wyrd siblings, Wyrdlings, and just fun people. For those who aren't in the know, my name is Sig. I'm a retired tattoo artist turned active fiber artist and crocheter. And here on my channel, you and I get to create a little magic with every knot. So don't forget to hit the subscribe and like buttons. This doesn't cost you anything, but it does help me to provide you with regular tutorials featuring original designs such as this one, classic patterns, and lacy motifs. I'm always interested in your feedback, so feel free to leave your comments and questions below. So for this particular project, I'm going to be using 100% cotton. It's a size 10 crochet thread. Now, another option I could use in the future if I wanted to could be a wool. And the reason why I'm choosing a cotton or a wool for this particular situation is because I am using actual tea light candles in the little Votive glass container. And these containers get warm. So anything that's like an acrylic or a polyamide or anything like that, a nylon potentially can melt and or be, you know, a fire hazard, and we don't want that unless you're using an LED candle. I would strongly suggest you avoid any kind of synthetic material like that and stick to something like a cotton or a wool thread. Next, I am using a size 0 hook. It's going to be a 1.75 millimeter. And then the only other thing I really have to have is going to be a tapestry needle. It doesn't have to be a big one. I have a fairly small one right here, but it does need to have an eye that is big enough. Let me see if we can get that in focus for you. Maybe not. Anyways, an eye that's big enough for the thread to fit in comfortably. So let's get started with part one. And part one of this is going to be that center of the lotus that also acts as a cup, or lack of a better description, a cozy or a holder for your LED candle or the Votive glass that you're going to put a tea light candle into. So I'm going to begin by chaining 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm going to join with a slip stitch. So basically I'm creating a ring, just like that. And that'll be the center right in there. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. That is going to act as my first double crochet. That's going to be a stand-in for my double crochet. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a picot. Now, for those of you who don't know how to make a picot is basically goes like this. I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go into the third chain from my hook, like so. And I'm going to make a slip stitch. And that creates my first picot. Then I'm going to chain 1. And now I'm going to start my pattern. And the pattern, I'm going to repeat this pattern 7 times. So I'm going to do a double crochet and then a picot and then a chain 1. So here we go. This is going to be the first count of the pattern. So I've got my double crochet. Like that. I'm going to chain my picot. And then so here, instead of going into the third chain, I'm actually going to hook into right up here into this base part of the stitch. There you go. So I've got my picot made. And then I'm going to chain 1. So now I need to make this pattern 6 more times. I'll show you one more time. And then a picot, 1, 2, 3, right here into the base. And a chain 1. So now I need to do it 5 more times, and I'll meet you right back here when the 5th one is completed. So once you've completed 8 picots, and then you're here with your last chain, we're going to go here to the 3rd chain of the very first chain stitch that you made. I'm going to go ahead and going to join with a slip stitch. So you should have something that looks like this. Next, we're going to go ahead and chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm going to make a picot just like before. 1, 2, 3. And because this picot is coming off the first chain, I'm simply going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain from the hook to create my picot. And then I'm going to chain 2. And again, my pattern is going to begin. Now the pattern that I'm going to follow this time is going to be a double crochet plus a chain 1 plus a picot plus a chain 2. And I'm going to do that for each chain 1 space. So I'm going to begin with my first double crochet right into that first chain 1 space. And then I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to picot 1, 2, 3. Now this picot is coming off of a chain, so I'm simply going to slip stitch into that 3rd chain from the hook, just like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 2. And that's the completion of the first of the 7 repeats of this pattern. So I'm going to repeat just what I did 6 more times. So again, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make a double crochet right into the next chain 1 space. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to make a picot, 1, 2, 3, 3rd chain from my hook. And then I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2. Now I need to repeat this 5 more times. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I will meet you right back here when I've completed round 2. Okay, so this is what you should have so far. I'm right down to where I just need to join for round 2. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to join right into that 3rd stitch, that 3rd chain of this turning chain that we created at the beginning of round 2. So now we're going to move on to round 3. And for round 3, I'm going to go ahead and chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then I'm going to make a picot, 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch 3rd chain from my hook. And then I'm going to chain 1. So now I'm going to start the pattern again. And this pattern I'm going to also repeat 7 times. And so the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and make a double crochet in the chain 2 space. So the chain 2 space is going to be right in here. I'm going to make my double crochet right in there. Then I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to make a picot, 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to chain 1 again. And then I'm going to place a double crochet into this next double crochet. So right in there. So I think you can see what I did. And so again, I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to make a picot. and then I'm going to chain 1 again. And then I'm going to double crochet into this chain 2 space. So I think you can see. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to make a picot, 1, 2, 3, into the 3rd chain from the hook. I'm going to chain 1 again. And then I'm going to double crochet into the next double crochet. And then I'm going to start the pattern again. So by the time I've completed round 3, I'm going to have a total of 16 picots. But before all that, just go ahead and repeat this step that I just showed you 5 more times. And then we'll move on to the very last part of the well, it's not really this pattern, but we'll move on to the last final couple of stitches to complete round 3. So this is about what you should look like with your piece right here towards the end of round 3. And then so the last step in this, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to chain 1. Right there, this should be your 15th picot, and we want 16 of them. Then I'm going to go ahead and double crochet into the next chain 2 space. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to make my 16th picot. 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to chain 1 again. And then I'm going to come and I'm going to tie into the 3rd chain of my first 4 chain here for round 3. So your piece should look something like this. Okay, so now moving on to round 4, what you're going to want to do is chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then you're going to want to repeat this next pattern 15 times. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to double crochet into the next double crochet. Just like that. And I'm going to chain 3. And I'm going to double crochet into the next double crochet. And basically I'm going to repeat that pattern all the way around. That's going to leave me with a total of 16 chain 3 spaces. And then when I've completed round 4, I'm going to join. So I'll meet you right back here at the end of round 4, and then we'll move on to round 5. So now with my last chain 3, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain of this first chain of round 4. Now for round 5, I'm simply going to chain 1, and then I'm going to single crochet into that same stitch. Then I'm going to single crochet 3 times in the chain 3 space. And then I'm going to single crochet in the next double crochet. Single crochet 3 times in the next chain 3 space. And then I'm going to single crochet in the next double crochet. And I'm going to continue that all the way around. So basically I'm going to give a single crochet to each stitch all the way around for round 5. Okay, so to finish up round 5, just going to simply go ahead and join with a slip stitch. And then for round 6, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 1. And then I'm going to place a single crochet in the same stitch. And then next, I'm going to place a single crochet in each stitch after that. And once I've done that and joined, I will have completed round 6. So now that I've come to the end of round 6, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to join into that first stitch of round 6. And I'm going to begin round 7. Now for round 7, I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to skip a stitch, and then in the stitch after that, I am going to place a double crochet. Next, I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to skip a stitch, and I'm going to place a double crochet. I'm going to do that all the way around. Chain 1, skip a stitch, place a double crochet. And then when I've gone all the way around and I've completed round 7, I'm going to join before moving on to round 8. So now here at the end of round 7, you may have 1 or 2 stitches left. That's fine, either way. But at this point, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and tie into the 3rd chain. And then round 7 is completed. So next we're moving on to round 8. And for round 8, I'm going to go ahead and chain 1. And then going to make a single crochet in the same stitch. Just like this. And then I'm going to make a single crochet for each stitch afterwards. So it'll be a single crochet in the chain 1 space, and then a single crochet for the double crochet. Single crochet in the chain 1 space, and then a single crochet in that next double crochet stitch, all the way around. And then when you've completed round 8, you're going to go ahead and join with slip stitch as usual, and then fasten off. This is probably a good time to weave in that little extra bit of thread you have left over, because once we've completed that, then we're going to move on to the first round of the petals. Okay, so now once you've completed round 8 and you've fastened everything off, you have a kind of bowl looking piece. And then of course everything is turned up so that the front part of your work is facing out. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to move on to the petals. So we're going to basically work on the first step of the petals. And this is also the time you're going to want to change colors if you're using more than one color on this project. So the first thing you're going to want to do is just pick up a picot from round 3, anywhere is fine, and go ahead and tie your thread right into that spot. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And then you're going to go to the next picot that you see, and you're going to make a single crochet right into the center of that picot. And then again, chain 3. And then go ahead and to the next picot in the round, go ahead and make another single crochet. And you're going to do that all the way around. You're going to chain 3, single crochet, 3, single crochet, and you're going to end up with 16 3-chain spaces. Once you've pretty much completed this first round of the petals, you're going to come right back here to this very first single crochet that you made and go ahead and tie right into that, just like so. And then now we're going to start the second round of the first set of petals. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 1 more. So make that 4. And then I'm going to make a double crochet right into that very same stitch. Just like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to double crochet 3 times in the next 3-chain space. 1 double crochet in the next single crochet. And then 3 double crochets in the next 3-chain space. And then once you get to the next or once you get to the next single crochet, you're then going to make a double crochet. So between this first double crochet that we make all the way to this next or last rather double crochet that we make here on the second single crochet from where we started, you're going to have 9 double crochets. So basically, so we got the 1 and then 2, 3, 4 so far. That 5th double crochet is going to go into the next single crochet. And then we're going to do 3 more double crochets into that chain 3 space. And then 1 more double crochet into the next single crochet. So basically, we have our chain 4, and that's actually going to be the last double crochet for the round. That's going to be a stand-in for the last double crochet for the round. So the first double crochet for this round is going to begin here with the first actual double crochet that we made. We have a total of 9 double crochets going across. And then the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and chain 1. And then I'm going to start the process over again. So I'm going to make a double crochet in the same stitch. And then I'm going to make 3 double crochets into the 3 chain space. And then I'm going to make a double crochet right here into this single crochet. Again, another 3 double crochets in this 3 chain space. And then I'm going to make my last of the 9 count of double crochets right here in the next chain, or rather single crochet space. So that's completion of the second base of the second petal. Next, I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to start the process all over again with my first double crochet being in that same stitch. So I'm going to continue just like that all the way around. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you what this looks like so far. So you can see it's kind of looking a little bit like a teacup on a saucer, I guess. But this is basically where it's going to sit flat, of course. And this is where we're going to begin making the individual petals, or individualizing the petals. So I've come all the way around, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch right here into the 3rd chain. And then I'm going to turn my work, and I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to double crochet 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So next, I'm going to repeat this row that we just did 2 more times. So I'm going to turn my work, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to double crochet 8 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 right here into the top of that chain stitch. So basically I have a total of 9 double crochets if you're counting the turning chain as a double crochet, which we are. I'm going to do that one more time. So I'm going to have a chain 3, and then I'm going to double crochet 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'm going to turn my work. Now I'm going to chain 2. So 1, 2, because I'm going to begin my decreases. So I chain 2, and then in the next stitch I'm going to double crochet. And now I'm going to double crochet 5 more times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then my next 2 double crochets, I'm going to double crochet those together. So 1, and then 2 double crochets together. So now for those of you who aren't familiar with double crocheting together, the way you do that is you're going to take your first double crochet and you're only going to work that halfway, and then when you get to the last step of that stitch, you're going to begin your second double crochet. And then as you finish that stitch and you pull your yarn through, you're going to pull it through all the loops on your hook. So now for all intents and purposes, we have a decrease right here and a decrease right here. So that means we basically have 7 stitches on this part of the petal. I'm going to turn the work, and I'm going to chain 2, 1 and 2. And then I'm going to make a double crochet. And this is basically going to be my decrease, my 2 double crochets together. Then I'm going to double crochet 3, 1, 2, and 3. And then my last 2 stitches, I am going to double crochet together. Again, I'm going to turn my work. I'm going to chain 2. And then I'm going to make my next double crochet so I can have those 2 double crocheted together. That's my first decrease. And then I'm going to double crochet 1. And then the last 2 stitches in this row, I'm going to make a double crochet together, 2 double crochets together. I'm going to turn the work, and I'm going to chain 2. I have 2 more stitches left, and I'm going to double crochet all of those stitches together. So basically, we're going to have 3 double crochets together. So we got the chain 2, the first double crochet, and then the second double crochet. And that is the tip of the first petal. I'm going to go ahead and fasten that off. And we're going to start on the next petal. We're going to repeat exactly what we did for the first petal, except we're going to tie into this first double crochet right here in this set of 9 double crochets. I'm going to go ahead and begin again with my chain 3. And then, so I'll show you one more time, and then I'll leave you to the rest of it on your own. So I got my first double crochet, basically that chain 3 is a stand-in for a double crochet. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I'm going to turn my work. I'm going to chain 3. And then I'm going to double crochet 8 more times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. Leaves us with a total of 9 stitches on that row. Going to turn my work again. I'm going to do it one more time. That'll basically give me 4 rows of 9. So 1, 2, 3. And then second stitch, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I'm going to turn my work, and this is where I'm going to begin my decreases. So I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to place my next double crochet in the next stitch, and that'll be my first decrease. And then I'm going to double crochet 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So again, I'm going to make a decrease, the first half, and then the second half of my decrease. Turn my work. I'm going to chain 2. That's going to be the beginning of my next decrease for this next row. And I'm going to double crochet in the next stitch to complete that first decrease. And then I'm going to double crochet 3. 1, 2, and 3. Leaving me with 2 more stitches for where I'm going to make my next decrease. I'm going to turn my work. I'm going to chain 2, beginning my next decrease. I'm going to double crochet into the next stitch. I'm going to complete that first decrease. Then I'm going to double crochet in the next stitch. And then I'm going to double crochet these last 2 stitches together for my last decrease of this row. I'm going to turn my work. I'm going to chain 2. Now I have 2 more stitches left on this row, and I'm going to decrease basically 3 of these stitches together. So it's going to be the chain 2 plus the last 2 double crochets, and we'll turn them all into a single decrease and a point, and that's the completion of the next petal. I'm going to fasten that off. And so that basically leaves me with 6 more petals to do. I'm going to continue just like that for the next 6 petals. And then when I get here to this very last petal, to the 8th petal, do not fasten off, because we're going to continue from there for one more round. But do not fasten off at your 8th petal. I'll meet you right back here for that. Okay, so once you have the first set of petals on, you should have something that looks like this. And like I said before, your very last petal that you make, do not fasten off, because this is, we're going to continue on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to evenly single crochet all the way around. So when you get to the tip, you may want to put, 2 or 3 single crochets in the tip to round your corner, but you're simply going to evenly crochet your single crochets along the edge of these petals. And then once we get all the way around, that's when you fasten off and you tie in, or rather you weave in your extra thread. So I'm going to go ahead and do that myself, and then I will meet you right back here. Okay, so now that we have the first round of petals completed, you can see the petals and then the single crochet going all the way around, fastened off. Everything is all woven in. So your piece should look something like this from behind and then also from the front. So let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. It's going to be pretty similar to what we've already done in the last process of putting together these petals. But this time, I'm going to move right here. And what I want is I want my petals to be staggered. So where you can see the split in these two petals sit right here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go over to this right here, this chain 2, or rather double crochet. There will be a section, there will be one in this round that's going to be a chain 2, but we're treating it as a double crochet. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to tie in my thread, and then I'm going to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip the next double crochet bar, and I'm going to make a single crochet into the next double crochet bar after that. So I believe that is actually going, technically round 4 is where I'm tying my chain 6 spaces into this piece. So then again, I'm going to chain 6. So 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to skip the next double crochet bar, and I'm going to make a single crochet in the double crochet bar after that. I'm going to continue all the way around, and I will end up having 8 of these 6 chain spaces. And when we get around, I'll tell you what to do next. Okay, so I'm just about around myself. I'm going to come right into here. So as you can see, I made a single crochet right here on the same bar that we started these chain 6s with. And kind of with the first round of petals, I'm going to begin by chaining 3, or rather chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to make a double crochet right here into this next chain 6 section that we're going to start our rounds with. So I have the first stitch here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to double crochet 8 more into that first 6 chain space. So, okay, I'm going to back this up just a second. I'm going to show you. So this stitch right here, this chain 4, this is going to end up being the last, basically stand in for the last double crochet in this round, just like what we did with the very first round. So now I have the first stitch in that same spot, as you can see right here, and the first double crochet in that same spot, and then double crochet 7, so that gives us a total of 8 so far. And then I'm going to do 1 more right here in the same chain space, and so that'll give me a total of 9. Then I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to proceed to double crochet 9 into the next 6 chain space. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to double crochet 9 in the next 6 chain space. Now I'm going to continue that all the way around, except until I get right back here to my last 6 chain space. And this time I'm only going to double crochet 8 because I already have my 9th stitch right here. So let's get all the way around, and then we'll join in the 3rd chain and get ready to move on to the petals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then this chain 3 right here makes 9. I'm going to go ahead and tie that right into that 3rd chain. Now we're set up to complete each petal. So just like we did before with the petals below, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to double crochet 8. So that'll give me a total of 9 double crochets in this row. So far I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Again, I'm going to turn my work. Now I have 2 rows of 9. So here with the bottom, we have 4 rows of 9 before we start decreasing. Here on the top row, we're going to do 3 rows of 9 before we start decreasing. So that'll be my turning stitch of 3 chains. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So now we're going to turn, and this is where we start to decrease, and we're going to continue on just like we did with the bottom petals. So the bottom petals have a total of 8 rows. These top petals are going to have a total of 7 rows. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to double crochet in the next stitch to make my first decrease. And then I'm going to double crochet 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make my next decrease. And turn my work. I'm going to chain 2. And I'm going to place my double crochet in my next stitch to complete my first decrease for this row. And then I'm going to double crochet 3. 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to do my next decrease in the last 2 stitches of this row. And then I'm going to turn my work and I'm going to chain 2, double crochet in the next stitch in order to complete my first decrease. I'm going to double crochet once in the stitch after that. And then I'm going to do my next decrease in the last 2 stitches of this row. I'm going to turn my work. I'm going to chain 2. And this time I'm going to do my decrease with these 3 last stitches. So this chain 2 is my first stitch. And then I got my double crochet. Since everything's being made together, I'm only going to follow through with my double crochet to the last step of the double crochet, and then I'm going to start my next double crochet, And then when I have the 3 loops on my hook, I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull that yarn through all 3 of those loops. And then I'm going to fasten off at this point. And I'm going to slip stitch that. And then just like I did with the petals below, I'm going to start again in this next stitch right here. I'm going to do my first 3 rows of 9, and then I'm going to decrease in my next 4 rows, just like we did with this petal right here. So just go ahead and rewind the video a little bit if you need to see how that is done again. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish all the petals. Now again, with that very last petal, do not fasten off that last petal. Rather, just like what we did with the petals below, go ahead and evenly single crochet each petal all the way around. So then this new set is going to look similar to what you've got going on the bottom row. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to meet you back here once all my top petals are completed and I have an evenly spaced row of single crochets all the way around my petals, fastened off, woven in, and then I will explain what to do in terms of the next step. So now once you've finished your single crochets all the way around this second round of petals, now is going to be the time to block your work. Now, depending on which material you used in terms of what you use to actually make your lotus candle holder with, is going to determine what your favorite method for blocking happens to be. So once this is blocked and dried, it's going to be ready for me to use. And yours will probably be ready for you to use as well too. So with all that said, I'd like to thank you for joining me today. It was my pleasure as usual to spend this time with you. I hope you have a most wonderful new year, and I will see you soon in the next video. Bye-bye now.